I'm going to take us through how I approach mixing guitars, the acoustic guitars, the electric guitars, to have that ambient, washy sound that you have in contemporary gospel music. Of course, that's basically, I do a lot on that, have your guitars sound, that worship feel, something like this. Okay, that way, I'll just quickly run through what I have. So the first of all, for the acoustic guitars, right? I have everything routed to an acoustic bus where I'm doing my processing there. And I'm using the Slate Digital, VMR rack. And here I'm using the FGS EQ, the FG stress compressor, the revival shimmer, and the VCC saturation plugin. So here I'm having, at the top end, I'm having my 10K, you know, having my 10K boosted to about almost two. That's the high shelf, but I'm not boosting anything around, my high mids, it's totally, zero here. Then I'm cutting a bit of the mids, almost 400. Here I'm just cutting a bit to like -3 and doing a high pass filter to about 100. All right. Then for my compressor, this is acoustic guitar, right? So for my compressor, um, I'm pretty much going with the ratio 4:1. All right. And I think I'm compressing about, -6, -7 gain reduction. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. This shimmer plugin, I like the shimmer plugin because I use it to add a little bit of brightness by just boosting the shimmer knob by 8 o'clock. I'm not using anything. The thickness is quite very low, so I'm not using anything here. Then my saturation, um, I'm using the bright 4K and I'm driving about 3. Okay, so okay. Yes, so and I'm also using the UAD um plate reverb. I'm sending the UAD plate reverb to this acoustic guitar. Okay. I'm sending the UAD plate reverb to this acoustic guitar and having my low cut 180, the pre-delay 50, my reverb time, that's my decay time, about 2. I'm cutting down the treble to -1 and I'm having the mix knob all wet. All right. So that's what gives me that for the acoustic guitar. Also, to create a bit of width, when I have the acoustic guitar track sent to me, I duplicate it. Then one of the channels, you can see here, I add a bit of delay to like 22 milliseconds. So if this were to be, this is like the house effect. If it were to be 0, listen to it. Now listen to it when it's 22 milliseconds. Okay, so going to the electric guitars, I have everything routed to electric guitar bus. Okay, and still the same thing I did. I had to duplicate, then do the with delay by having it 22 milliseconds. Okay, that's just to get the guitars also spread as well. But for my guitar, electric guitar chain, I have a bit more of processing going on here. First of all, my virtual mix rack, okay, having just an EQ and compression, and I'm using the FGS EQ and the FG Stress EQ here. Okay, so yeah, having 8K, I'm even cutting down on 8K. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is just to give more warmth to the guitar. So I'm not, boosting the high. I'm actually cutting, but I'm also boosting the high mid here. Okay, and I'm cutting the low mid down. I just cut, a bit about -4, about 500. Then I did a high pass to almost 120. Okay, so my compression, I'm using 6:1 ratio, compressing about 4 to 5, gain reduction. Then I'm using Cubase, so I like using this tape crunch saturation for my electric guitars, where I'm boosting 30 here. Okay, I'm boosting 30 here. Also, cutting the lows rather. I'm cutting the low to about 250 hertz, and also cutting the highs down to about 3.15K, or just say 3K. That's also to make it more warmth. Then for the high frequency boost, I'm having it reduced. I'm not boosting the high frequency, I'm having it reduced to about -3. Then this dual mode is turned on for the tape machine. Okay, so basically, if I'm having just my EQ, my compression, my saturation, so you can hear that meaty. The idea is to have the electric guitar sound very meaty. Still, to give more warmth from the Cubase, I bring in this quadriforce, and here the quadriforce is like a multi-band saturation kind of plugin. Okay, so I'm turning off the low, but the low mid, having it the tape, and just having it still on 0. But the high mid, I'm changing the saturation to the tube type, dropping it down a bit so I don't have too much of pokiness coming on from the guitar. Then I'm not boosting anything on the high mid, so it's just there. On the highs rather. Then from Plugin Alliance, I use this BX shred spread to actually push the guitar width. Okay, and I'm spreading the guitar width to about 137%. I'm shredding 69% here, so this is actually just to spread my guitar. Then of course I have the delay and my verb. For my delay, I'm using the Cubase stock plugin. Oh no, okay, I think I'm doing something different here. So I'm using from Sound Toys Echo Boy. Okay, I think this is actually my first time using this Echo Boy. Not that there's anything wrong, but because of force of habit. But I decided to do something different, so I'm using the Echo Boy, and having the mix all wet, the echo time, having quarter dots, then everything to the studio tape saturation style. Okay, the studio tape saturation style. Then my electric guitar verb, what I'm sending is actually the Valhalla vintage verb. I'm using the pleats. Okay, from here, I'm doing a kind of 40%, mix, my decay extensive 3.5, my pre-delay 20. All right. So that's what gives me that meaty sound that I'm looking for my electric guitars. Adding my acoustic guitars, to this. Let's add the bass. Let's add the drums. Okay, let's come in with the drums. So you can decide to actually, bring up the guitars. You can decide to bring up the guitars. So let's. All right, but in context of everything, you have pretty much the idea of how I mix my electric guitars and acoustic guitars together once. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. I usually have the guitars also routed to the instrument bus where I'm gluing the guitars alongside with my keys, my tracks, and my organ. So I do fast attack 30, my release at auto, and my ratio at 4:1. But the gain reduction, I'm going for like probably one, everything. So basically that's how I approach my mixing of electric guitars and acoustic guitars, when it comes to contemporary music worship. So I hope this helped. Try this, implement this concept when you're mixing your next song. All right. Thank you so much.